In today's video, I'm going to show you how to get perfect hooping with any machine or any hoop, whether it's commercial or home. So let's get started. Now the first thing I want to let you know is there is different types of hoops based on the type of machine you have. If you are using a typical entry-level machine or a flatbed machine, which is a combination sewing and embroidery, it is not tubular. It doesn't have an arm coming out that allows you to hoop, finish garments and have all of the excess material out of the way. So you are hooping and embroidering on a flat surface, and generally the hoop looks at something like this. They're usually rectangular in shape, and they have a area where the hoop slides into the arm and gets locked into place, and then the embroidery happens. The home hoops generally aren't as heavy duty as the commercial counterparts. These two hoops are made by the same parent company. These are both brother hoops, but one is for their multi-needle machine and the other is for their home or flatbed machine. They are standardly the same shape or size. Most of them are either square or rectangular, but you will notice that they have two arms, which gives them a position that's being held securely in place, which allows the sash frame to come out the center, and you get more equal movement as your design is running. So bigger stepper motors, sturdier hoops usually equals better results, especially when you're talking about an item that is going to be hanging off either side. Even with the crossover machines that are made by some of the home manufacturers, some of them do offer round hoops as well. And that is something that I think is a big advantage, because when I started out in the embroidery industry many years ago, all of our commercial hoops were actually this shape. They were round. We didn't actually see, or I didn't see, rectangular or square shaped hoops until I crossed over from the commercial into the home industry. And to be quite honest, these didn't make much sense to me, because with a round hoop, when you hoop a piece of material, you have even tension all the way around, and you're going to get the best results. When you're talking about a square or rectangular hoop, you have four corners that are being held securely, and then the straightaways are areas that could have some pull with the material. Now we do have other videos that show you some of the little tips and tricks of T-pins and using tape to secure your hoop, and other things that we suggest to counteract that. But for the most part, if you do have a round hoop, it will give you better results. But the basic hooping principles are pretty much identical and the same, whether you're talking round or whether you're talking a square hoop. Now, there's always an exception to the rule, and that is one of my new favorite products, and it is the Mighty Hoop. These are magnetic hoops which do not require a sort of area that you're going to loosen or tighten to actually secure your material. The magnets hold your material in place, and because of that, even though these hoops aren't round or they may be rectangular in appearance, the ability to hold the fabric even on those straightaways is almost as secure as the corners. So these are our new favorites, and you will find that a lot of the new home machines do have optional magnetic frames available, and some are now coming standard. And for me, that's a big advantage to have the magnets doing the hardest part of the work. Now, if you are hooping traditionally, you have to remember that there are two parts of a hoop. There is the one side that usually has the ability to loosen and tighten the area that's being hooped, and then you have the main part of the hoop which sits on top, and generally the bottom part is holding the stabilizer. So the stabilizer is touching this part of the hoop, and the material is touching this part of the hoop. And that's where you get some issues, because if you have a stabilizer, which is true to its name, it's stably going to be held on to that first part of the hoop, and then you have a material that could either be sheer or slippery or stretchy, like a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, you end up having two different types of material interacting with two different points on the hoops. And that's why sometimes you'll get puckering in designs, because your stabilizer is being held stably, but your fabric is the one doing the stretching. So here's what I suggest doing, and this is something that you will get very quick at over time, because practice makes perfect. Whenever I have an item that I want to hoop, regardless of whether it's a round hoop or a home hoop or a crossover commercial hoop, I will always look at the fabric or the item that I'm hooping. And if it's a t-shirt like this, I'll always take that fabric, I'll turn it over one time, keeping in mind that I will have stabilizer in there as well, but I always lightly press between my finger and my thumb. I'm not squeezing really tight because that, material will just disappear, but I lightly press so that I have a visual gauge of material that I see between my finger and my thumb, and that is the gauge that I use to set my hoop. If I take a thicker material like a sweatshirt and I take that material and fold it over and then look at the space between, you can see that based on the thickness of the material, that space is now a lot more separated. Then when I go to my hoops, if I'm using a hoop for a flatbed machine, I'll hold one end of the hoop nice and tight, I'll loosen the other end of the hoop, and what I'm doing is I'm looking for the space. I have a little bit of space between where those two hoops meet, and when I separate them, and it might be good to separate it even into a corner, I try to adjust the space of my hoop based on that space that I saw between my finger and my thumb. So if it is a t-shirt, then that space gets a little bit tighter. If it's a sweatshirt, it gets looser. If it's, let's say, terry cloth, it might get even thicker than that. And if you're doing something like silk, obviously there's going to be even less space. So that little gauge is very helpful. I'll do the exact same thing with a hoop like this. I'll actually take it and I'll start loosening this. And if it's going to be a sweatshirt, I know that at this point here, I can see that space. That is going to be perfect for a sweatshirt. And if I'm doing it on a round hoop, the exact same principle. I will loosen my hoop until when I separate it, I see the space between there. And that way I can preset my hoop before I even begin. So right now I've preset this one for a sweatshirt. Now I won't have to struggle with the hoop. One of the things that you do not want to do when you're hooping is have it too tight and have an epic battle where you're trying to force those two pieces to come together, or have it so loose that when you lift it up, it just simply falls out. And a lot of people get into a habit of hooping loosely, and then they get in there with their fingers and sometimes even pliers, and they start cranking down on that little piece to tighten it up after the fact. Now that can be done, but keep in mind you will create something called hoop burn. You're going to leave some nasty marks within your fabrics, and sometimes if you tighten too much after the fact, that will be so aggressive that even steam won't get it out. So as an example, I'm going to take this hoop and I'm going to take my piece of stabilizer and I'm going to just put that over top. Keep in mind that as you get into this, you are going to collect more toys, so you might get a hooping station, a kid in a hooping station, or a hooping station made by Hoopmaster. These are all options and accessories that will make hooping easier as far as placement and holding your stabilizer, but sometimes you can come up with a couple of creative little things like, using a little bit of painter's tape to hold your stabilizer securely in place while you're actually putting it into the hoop. One of the things that's always hard to do is to have your piece of stabilizer within your hoop, try to get it inside the body of a garment, and then you hoop it and you look afterwards and that stabilizer moved completely and it's not being held, but your shirt is. Then you have to start all over again. So by just putting a little bit of tape there, I know that that's going to be held in place temporarily and I won't have to worry about the stabilizer moving. But it is much easier to have a hooping aid there to help you do that. Now I'm not really worried about placement with this. I just want to show you how I'm not going to have an epic battle with this. So I'm just going to slide this in between these two pieces and I'm just going to put it right there like that. And I will try to center it a little bit in the design, but I have that in place now. There's the round part of my hoop, and now what I'm going to do is I know that the place that is separating is right up here at the top, and if I wanted to, I could make sure that it is kind of centered to the top a little bit so that it's going to be right there in place, and I can just take a quick look. I'm going to see that it's where I want it to be, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the front of the hoop into the area that is going to separate. So by putting it down into the front, knowing that the area, the clasp is going to separate, that is going to sort of extended as much as it can right from the beginning. If I were to do it the opposite way, it might be counterproductive because I'm not separating it first. So now that it's separated, I'm holding with the front. I'm going to take the palms of my hand and I'm just going to push down with the palms of my hand into the bottom side, and I'm going to do a down and forward motion. And it should just slide into place, and I shouldn't really have to struggle with it. There was a little bit of resistance, so I knew that I was actually doing a good solid hooping, but I didn't fight with it and it wasn't super easy. And if I lift it now, I can see that it is being held in place and it's tight like a drum. And that's what you're looking for, is to get perfect placement and perfect hooping on your first go. I'm not going to go in there and tighten that up at all. I know that it's exactly the way I want it. I'm also not going to go in, especially with stretchy fabrics, and start pulling on this material. If you see some waffling or some little wrinkles in the material and it did not stretch tightly across the surface, then take the hoop out and try it again. Don't start pulling on that material trying to get those pieces out, because all of those little ridges that are created within your garment, you'll actually see those, instead of being straight, start to move. And that means when you embroider and you take the hoop out, it's going to look a little bit like a mistake and it won't look like it's professionally done. And now we'll repeat the process, but I'm going to do it on a t-shirt, which, as I mentioned, it's very, very thin, and I'm going to use the home hoop, and I'm going to hold it from the opposite side, and I'm going to see how much play. There's way too much space in between there, so I'm going to tighten this down and then pull it in the center area until I get just a little bit of play, almost like I saw between my finger when I didn't press too hard. I'm going to get a little bit of play in there, so I know it's going to separate. Now I am using a cutaway material, so I try to take that into account a little bit, but I should have this set exactly the way I want it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a little bit of painter's tape. I'm going to remove this after I finish hooping, and before I put it on the machine, I will make sure that I take that tape and get rid of it. So I'm going to take the bottom part of the hoop and I'm going to take my stabilizer and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put it on here and just make sure that I turn it over, and I'm just going to tape it in place temporarily so that I know that my stabilizer isn't going to move while I'm trying to get it inside the body of a garment. Now this is going to be removed afterwards, but that way it's kind of in place temporarily. I also know that I'm going to have the part of the hoop that gets put into the arm of the machine towards the bottom, which is the largest open area in the body, because that arm, it'll be much easier to get it in as opposed to going through the neck. And then I'm going to slide this in and I'm just going to position it right where I want it on the design. Again, I'm not going to really worry about placement because this is more of just a hooping demo than a placement demo. So I'm just sliding that into the body, and now I'm just going to try to get all of the excess pieces out of the way. And I got to make sure, I think at this point, that I remove that tape so that it's not buckling over itself anymore. So I'll just go in there carefully and remove the tape that I had placed in there to hold it down. And I'm just going to make sure that I smooth out all the area within there so that it is kind of stretched out as much as possible. And then I'm going to take my hoop in the exact same way I did it before, where I put it down first. I'm going to put it into the opening of the hoop, and once it's securely in there, again, I can just make sure that everything is kind of pulled out of the way. Any little bit of stretching I'm going to do before I place the hoop in. I'm going to slide my hand over, hold my fingers at the top of it, and again put my palms down to each corner, and then I'm going to push forward and down in one motion. And when I push forward and down, I can feel a little bit of resistance as I did it, but again, I did not fight with it in any way. And when I lift this up, and if I kind of try to bounce it around, it's not falling out of the hoop at all, and it looks as tight as a drum. Again, I will not start pulling and stretching, especially on a t-shirt material, because you will see it start to waffle, and you don't want to put your embroidery down on a fabric that is already distorted. So regardless what machine you have or what hoop you have, that's the basic principle that I've used for hooping for decades. We actually did commercial embroidery in the old days where we had hundreds of multi-heads running, and we had hooping stations set up where we had people hooping all day long. And that was taught to them 25, 30 years ago, and that's why I'm teaching it to you now. Now, I'll never argue that hooping isn't vitally important to the quality of designs, but almost more important than that is the design itself. The quality of the digitizing, or the person who created the design, is probably the most important factor in getting good results. So I suggest using quality designs, and if you want to try some, we have over 30,000 professionally digitized designs that are ready for you to embroider. Thanks so much for watching, and let us know down in the comments if you knew about this embroidery trick, and be sure to watch the next video. See you on the next one.